Hello and welcome to another Oaklands College Music Technology tutorial. This session is all going to be about the Ultrabeat drum synth in Logic Pro. Now by the end of this session you should be able to open up a drum synth, understand how it works a little bit, and use it as a drum machine so you can see the sequencer within inside it. And also we'll look a bit more in depth into how to load your own samples into that sequencer, into the Ultrabeat. And edit some of the sounds yourself, and also how to then apply effects individually to each track. So this will be on part 2, I'm sure, of this tutorial, so stay tuned for that one. So anyway, let me just show you how to create this instrument. You can make a software instrument from the word go, and that's going to create a new track for you. Now instead of going over here and using these library presets, which I kind of disagree with, I like to go over to here. We've got your input and your output. On your input you've got a list of synths here. We can go down to the bottom and use a multi-output Ultrabeat drum synth. I'm going to choose a multi-output, which we'll look at more in part 2 of this video. So now that opens up, I'm just going to give you a quick tour. You can see you've got different kind of sounds along here vertically, and also these layer across the keyboard, so you could actually play these along on a keyboard. Yeah, so that's caps lock, by the way, to bring up that nice keyboard. So then you've got various different sounds here. You've got kicks, snares, claps, whatever, and now this adjusts the volume at which they play out, so you can actually do a bit of mixing the levels with inside here. You then got this little sequence button here, which tells you which have actually got sequences on. Okay, we'll look at that in a bit. Next door we've got mute, solo, pan and main. We'll look at this later, but this is how we use the multi-output function, which is really powerful. This generally is a very powerful tool. You've also got this massive sequencer here which you can turn on. I'm actually in a default kit here. You've got a load of presets which are quite good, so why don't we put on an electro house kit or something like that. No idea what this sounds like. Take a while to load up. There we go. You have to turn the sequencer on. You'll see there's a lot of on-off buttons around the place. Turn that on and press play, and you've got a kind of just a standard minimal sort of electro house beat there. Now you'll notice this sequencer along at the bottom here. You can add, take away just by clicking here. You've obviously got velocity, yeah, and you've got the length of the notes as well. So that's nice. Also you've got this full view sequencer. Here, if you turn that on, then you get this full view, and you can see what's been sequenced, the whole thing. If you zoom in, it toggles between the two, which is quite nice. So there you can see you've got 4 to the floor on the kick. Okay, you'll notice that this the resolution of this sequencer is in 16th notes, which to us is semiquavers. So each tick here is a semi. You can change this to 8th notes as well, which would be quavers to us English. And then we've got quavers, and also 32, which is demi-semiquavers for us English. Put on 16 for now, and flick back to the actual take full view off, and we'll just have a look bit more with inside here. So you've got 3 basic oscillators kind of thing here. So you've got an on-off button for each, and you've got an FM synthesis sidechain, so you can actually select a signal from somewhere else. But for this you've got a simple oscillator, yeah, like a sine wave over and over again, various modulation and pitch controls here. For that you've got a noise as well, so if we just hear that kick, okay, that's got a bit of that oscillator there, but also if you put noise in, you can notice that was probably a bit better for something like a snare or a hi-hat. And then here you've got another oscillator, or in this case you can actually load your own sample in. So if you go to here, you can go load sample, and then actually go and find yourself a kick, yeah, and that will find up a kick, and you can load that in. Okay. So there's also a very powerful filtering system here. So if you go from each of these oscillators, you'll notice there's like this little red button that you can turn on and off for each one. So if you want oscillator 1 to go into the filter, you have to turn it on, and that puts it through, or you can bypass the filter as well by turning it off. Okay, there's also this envelope here on the bottom right, which does your sort of attack, which is very quick in this case, and a long decay, a sustain and release at the end. Okay, so that's within the Ultrabeat. I hope that's helpful. Now, what I'm going to do in the next part of this video, stay tuned for it. We're going to look at how to use the multi-output function. So this is the sequencer that it's come with. Okay. Thank you. There are also other sequences here. You can change different sequences. Let's have a look. Yeah, and you can change that again. Now, if you programmed your own pattern, which is probably advisable instead of using these presets. Anyway, there's a sequence here, but once you've programmed your own one, you've done a little bit of mixing with it or whatever, you can actually just drag that straight into the arrangement from this pattern area here. You can drag that straight in here, and then that you can turn off the sequencer, because otherwise it's just going to play all the time, and you can play that straight in Logic. And then that's going to stop because it's finished. Yeah. Okay. Stay tuned for part 2.